Hello and welcome to the CoBo Challenge at Art Basel. We're here today with Cosmin Costinas, director of Parasite, one of the oldest grassroots art organizations in Hong Kong and definitely one of the most important in Asia. And of course we can talk about art, but I think today we're going to explore another one of your very keen interests, which is textiles.
Textiles, indeed.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. How are you?
I'm very good. I barely have my voice. This got lost in day number 2.5 of the art fair.
Okay,
I think
well,
it's
you're
a collateral damage of these very intense days for Hong Kong.
But you look great and you're wearing a really beautiful textile. So maybe why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, this
wonderful
is a beautiful pashmina. It's quite a well-known type of textile that originates from Kashmir.
Okay.
I don't really wear the textiles that I'm the most in love with.
Okay, of course.
The textiles that are closer to my heart and which I sometimes collect when I have the opportunity are not the ones that I wear. So they have like a special,
exactly.
a different type of relationship with.
Exactly. Well, and they also have a special place to be shown as well. Where we've been talking a lot in this last few days about the use of technology and art and how we relate to that. And for example, we were discussing with Hans Ulrich yesterday about the way he uses Instagram. And you, in your case, you use Instagram to showcase your textile collection. So tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, well, my Instagram
exactly.
it's a very recent account and like a small account, so it's definitely not a major platform for
it's very
publishing.
personal.
But it's very personal indeed, and I use it to showcase, if you want, to catalog as well. It also like plays this archiving role.
Okay. Yes.
Personally, for the textiles that I encounter and primarily the textiles that I also acquire through various trips and through various journeys, rather.
How do you collect these textiles? Is it something that it's out of a gut feeling, or you go looking for stuff, or I mean?
Look, it's a passion that, first of all, I should say that it's a passion that started quite organically and also like piece by piece. It wasn't, like a sudden or like an obvious turn for me. And I keep thinking sometimes, like, where does this come from? And I think it's probably it should be read somehow in relation to my work with the arts and with the kind of travel that that comes with working as a curator these days. And there is a very complicated relationship that one has with local contexts, with specificity as a curator, because one should always, it's a bit of a long conversation, but one should always navigate very carefully along these issues of like, what does it mean to be in a global society these days on one hand, and how do the different local stories, the different local forms, the different ultimately specificities of each context get negotiated into this global society. And with textiles, these things are in a way more straightforward, because the forms are already there. The social background, which is something obviously very, very important for me in general, and it's also a significant part of how I approach the arts, but also the social story and the economic story is also woven to be in each textile, because every textile has a particular history. Why
and it's a reflection of that society,
the society
or
of a particular class, of a particular historical moment, why a certain type of textile was available in that place, where did the technique to weave it came from, where did the dyes come from, what are the motives, the patterns, and so on and so forth. So in a way, it simplifies a little bit the many questions of art, but that's not to say that there's a hierarchy between textiles and
absolutely. Yeah, we were talking the other day about your recent trip, because of course a lot of this collecting is also connected to your trips as part of your work as a curator, and And you were talking about this recent trip to the Dhaka Art Summit, where you found one of your.
It's interesting that you bring in the discussion, because this is actually a piece that I did not get into my collection, because it is yet not really possible to have such a piece in the collection, because we are talking about a very particular, a very interesting type of textile, which is the muslin, which was one of the most refined and one of the most special cloth that was made out of cotton, and it was something that the region of Bengal was very known for, and it's a type of textile that was exported in Europe and in other parts of the world. And it was one of the most direct victims of British colonialism in India. It was really at the core of the great historical crime that the British Empire did in Asia and in the subcontinent. Not only killing this economy and of producing muslin, but going so far to extirpate, to make the particular type of cotton from which muslin was produced extinct. Go extinct. So similar types or somewhat similar types of textiles have survived, but not really the type of muslin. There are now efforts by some amazing people working in Bangladesh to obtain the same type of refinement using a related subtype of cotton. And they're really at the beginning of this process, and I would be delighted when this gets back in the market, and I can find it not just for myself, but because a certain type of historical justice has been achieved, even if it's only symbolical.
Okay, well, thank you very much for sharing all of this with us. Definitely, it will give us food for thought, and yeah, we'll continue to follow your collection on Instagram, and hopefully later on as the Cosmin Costinas Museum of Textiles.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.